Chapter 8: The Village Elder's Plans. Eldrick Thorne sat in his dimly lit study, the only light coming from the flickering candle on his desk. The shadows it cast danced on the stone walls, echoing the tumult of thoughts swirling in his mind. His fingers absently drummed against the old, weathered wood of his desk as he reflected on the events of the past weeks. Marcus's arrival had been unexpected, but in that surprise, Eldrick saw an opportunity that he could not let slip through his grasp. Marcus was no ordinary traveler. His combat skills were remarkable, yes, but there was something more, something Eldrick had noticed the moment he laid eyes on him. There was an energy about the young man, an aura that hinted at powers yet untapped. Eldrick, with his decades of wisdom and experience in leading Eldergrove, recognized this as something that could be harnessed, something that could be molded to serve his own ambitions. Leaning back in his chair, Eldrick steepled his fingers, his eyes narrowing in contemplation. For years, he had ruled Eldergrove with a careful balance of wisdom and authority, but it had never been enough. The neighboring villages and towns thrived while Eldergrove remained small, hidden away in the forest. His influence had always been limited to the village's borders, but he had long dreamed of expanding his reach, of uniting the surrounding regions under his rule. For too long, Eldergrove had been overlooked, dismissed as a quiet, insignificant settlement. But Marcus could change all that. Eldrick had watched the young man closely since his arrival. Each patrol, each skirmish with the undead, had revealed something new about Marcus's abilities. The more Marcus fought, the stronger he seemed to become, as if the very act of combat was unlocking a dormant power within him. This wasn't just raw talent, it was something far greater, and that power could be of great use to Eldrick. However, there were risks. Marcus was no fool, and he had a quiet intensity about him that Eldrick knew better than to underestimate. If Marcus discovered that Eldrick sought to use him for his own ends, the village elder's plans could unravel before they even began. Marcus had a strong sense of duty, of loyalty to those who had shown him kindness. Eldrick would need to ensure that Marcus remained loyal to him, and Eldergrove above all else. The elder rose from his chair and moved to the window, gazing out over the village. The night was still, the buildings cast in silver moonlight. The peacefulness of Eldergrove was deceptive, masking the ambitions stirring within its leader. Eldrick knew that trust was a delicate thing, and he would need to play the long game. He couldn't push Marcus too soon, couldn't reveal his ambitions outright. He would need to guide Marcus carefully, steering him toward his own goals while allowing the young man to believe that he was acting on his own. Eldrick's smile was cold as he turned away from the window. He had been in power long enough to know how to manipulate people, how to plant seeds of doubt or ambition in their minds. With Marcus, it would be no different. He would start by fostering a sense of belonging, showing Marcus that he was needed, that the village relied on him. He would reinforce the idea that Eldergrove was his sanctuary, that the people here were his people. From there, it would only take subtle nudges to direct Marcus's power toward Eldrick's own ends. The vial that Marcus carried had not escaped Eldrick's notice either. Though Marcus had kept it hidden, the elder had heard whispers of its significance. It was no ordinary trinket. There was power in that vial, a power that could elevate Marcus even further, or, if handled properly, could be used to elevate Eldrick himself. But that would come later. For now, it was enough to keep Marcus close, to ensure that the young man's path remained aligned with his own. Eldrick returned to his desk, his mind abuzz with the possibilities. He would need to orchestrate events carefully, perhaps create a scenario in which Marcus felt indebted to him, something that would solidify the bond of loyalty. And then, once Marcus was firmly under his influence, Eldrick could begin to expand his reach, using Marcus as his sword, his champion. Together, they could challenge the surrounding villages, bring them under Eldergrove's banner. With Marcus's growing power and Eldrick's cunning, there would be no stopping them. The elder's smile widened as he imagined it. Eldergrove no longer a forgotten village, but the heart of a powerful dominion. He could see it now. The surrounding regions, once fractured and independent, united under his rule. And Marcus, whether he knew it or not, would be the key to it all. But first, Eldrick needed to ensure one thing above all else: Marcus's loyalty. The young man had already shown great promise, but there could be no room for hesitation or doubt. Eldrick would need to bind Marcus to him in ways that went beyond mere gratitude. The elder's eyes gleamed with the thought of what he would do next. He had many tools at his disposal: subtle flattery, shared victories, the promise of greater power. And Marcus, for all his skill and strength, was still young, still new to this world and the dangers it held. Eldrick could mold him, shape him into exactly what he needed. The village elder extinguished the candle on his desk, plunging the room into darkness. Tomorrow, he would set his plans into motion. Marcus had been a gift, a weapon that Eldrick intended to wield with great care. The boy had potential, yes, but Eldrick was the one who would determine how that potential would be used. And in the end, Eldergrove would no longer be a forgotten village hidden in the woods. It would be the center of something far greater. Mara Linton watched Marcus from behind the bar, her keen eyes following his movements as he worked alongside Joran Hale, the barkeeper. It was late, and the once bustling common room of the Restful Hearth had finally quieted. The last few patrons had left, leaving only the crackling of the hearth and the soft clinking of dishes as Marcus helped clear the tables. Over the past few weeks, Mara had come to know Marcus well, or at least she thought she had. He was dependable, always quick to lend a hand, and had integrated himself into village life with ease. Yet, despite his friendly demeanor and hard work, there was something about Marcus that gnawed at her curiosity. He was like a puzzle with missing pieces he guarded closely. Mara leaned against the bar, wiping down the counter as she watched him work. His story about being attacked by skeletons while exploring ancient ruins had initially been met with some skepticism by the villagers, but Marcus's actions since his arrival had silenced any doubts about his sincerity. He fought alongside the village guards, tirelessly defending Eldergrove from the increasing number of undead. But even with his bravery and skill, Mara could see the shadows that lingered in his eyes, a burden he carried but refused to share. "Marcus," Mara called out, her voice cutting through the quiet room. She waved him over, her tone gentle but direct. "Can I have a word with you?" Marcus glanced up from the stack of plates he had been organizing, his expression neutral but attentive. "Of course, Mara," he said, setting the dishes down and making his way to the bar. Mara offered him a warm smile as he approached, though her eyes searched his face for any sign of what lay beneath his composed exterior. "You've been a great help around here," she began, her voice sincere. "And I wanted to thank you for that. The inn and the village are better with you here." Marcus dipped his head slightly in acknowledgement, but Mara could see the tension in his shoulders. He was waiting for her to get to the real point, and she didn't intend to disappoint. "But," Mara continued, her tone softening as she leaned forward on the bar, "I can't help but notice that something's been weighing on you. You carry yourself well, but I see the way your eyes dart around sometimes, like you're expecting something to go wrong." She paused, studying his reaction. "If there's anything you need to talk about, or if you need help, you can trust me." For a moment, Marcus said nothing. His gaze dropped to the floor, his fingers absent-mindedly brushing the wood of the bar. Mara could tell he was debating how much to reveal. She didn't want to push him, but she hoped her offer of support might ease some of the weight he carried. Marcus finally met her eyes, and for the briefest moment, Mara saw a flicker of something. Fear, perhaps, or guilt. "Thank you, Mara," he said, his voice quieter than usual. "It's just, I've been through a lot recently, more than I expected, and more than I know how to deal with. I'm still trying to make sense of it all." His words were honest, but Mara sensed there was more he wasn't saying. She nodded slowly, choosing her next words carefully. "I understand. We've all been through our share of struggles here in Eldergrove. Life has a way of testing us, even when we think we're ready for anything. Just know that you don't have to face it alone. You've made a home here, whether you realize it or not, and that means we're here for you, no matter what." Marcus looked at her, his expression softening just a little. "I appreciate that," he replied, offering a small, genuine smile. "I'll keep it in mind." Mara could tell that was all he was willing to share for now, and she didn't press him further. There were walls around Marcus, and though they were slowly coming down, he was still protecting something. Whatever it was, she hoped that when the time came, he would let her, or someone, help him bear the burden. Well, she said, straightening up and patting the bar lightly, if you ever need to talk, you know where to find me. And in the meantime, you can keep helping Jorn scrub those floors. She winked at him, breaking the tension with a touch of humor. Marcus chuckled softly, the warmth returning to his eyes. I think I can manage that. As he returned to his work, Mara couldn't shake the feeling that the young man was carrying more than just physical wounds. Something darker lingered beneath the surface, and she feared that whatever it was, it would soon come to the forefront. All she could do now was wait and hope that when Marcus finally chose to open up, it wouldn't be too late to help.